bond began. It was, he didn't ask me to stay.
Michael would leave the game to play baseball, but when he returned, he would help Phil mold a new cast of players into champions, as Michael became Phil's advocate.
I understood his belief, I understood his focus.
You got it, Dennis. That's enough now, that's enough.
And at times he talked through me.
Come on, keep your head. Keep your head. Hey, you're doing the final. Let's go. Keep your head. Everybody get together.
I could exert some leadership from a player standpoint, which I did.
He comes off. I'll be ready.
It'll be a scoop if anybody but Michael Jordan takes this shot.
It is Michael Jordan time.
Michael, 6 seconds, 5. Michael in traffic to Kerr, 15-footer.
You don't find people that want to lead in practice as well as in games. That kind of leadership is something you just don't want to leave behind and say, well, you know, we can find leaders like that. Well, you know, you don't find leaders like that in this game.
Together, Michael and Phil would share 3 more titles and a deep appreciation for each other.
Hangs, fires, scores! He scores!
Oh my God, that was beautiful. What a finish.
Phil always did crossword puzzles for years and years. They'd always have the New York Times crossword puzzle out. And Michael used to sort of mock that. And Michael was a new age young guy. All the books Phil would always talk about, and he'd give the players on the road. Michael never read the books. But in the end, Michael was reading the books. He was playing crossword puzzles. He had so understood and so respected what Phil Jackson had done that he had began to mimic and copy some of the things and talk about, as you would hear things that Phil said, and all of a sudden Michael would be sounding like Phil, and Michael never sounded like Phil at the beginning, I'll tell you that.
Michael flat out said at the end of his career, I'm not going to play for any other coach. And to me, the greatest player in any sport that I've ever seen, for him to say that, what an amazing, remarkable relationship.
The lasting thing that I think about Phil was we grew a trust amongst ourselves as friends, and we found that we had similar likes in terms of, you know, just our habits in some respects, and the inner peace, the moment, things of that nature I could identify with, that he was really trying to express to me.
Jackson is the NBA's career leader in playoff victories and playoff winning percentage, the only coach ever to take 2 different teams to 3 consecutive championships, and his total of 9 titles ties him with Red Auerbach for the all-time lead. As the Bulls' championship era came to a close, Jackson, Jordan, and Pippen had accomplished an NBA first by pulling off 2 separate three-peats. And Charlie, with 2 separate three-peats with almost entirely different supporting casts for Pippen and for Jordan, how is Phil Jackson able to weave his magic in getting new players into the system?
The triangle is very versatile. You can incorporate just about any personnel. But the personnel of those 2 teams, while it was different, they had role players that was similar. They had 2 big guys in the middle, Cartwright and Longley, the first and the second one, who could hold that position inside, made good targets. You get the ball inside. The defense has to do something because the ball is 1 dribble away from a layup. Instead of Horace Grant playing defense, he had Rodman, and instead of Paxson, he had Kerr. So he had the same ingredients. And when you have a system like the triangle, if something goes wrong, you just go down to basics and go down to, okay, we're doing everything right up to this point, and then you build it back up again. So the system was the same.
You brought up an interesting personality, Dennis Rodman. So how was Phil Jackson able to get the most out of the worm?
He was kind of crazy, but he always came to play, and he played hard, and he had a very high basketball IQ. One of the things that Phil took from the Native American philosophy is that there was always someone in the tribe who was the backwoods person, who would wear winter clothes in the summer or walk around on his hands or do something weird. And he was always considered to be someone touched by the divine spirit that you had to kind of make allowances for. And that's how he perceived Rodman. He was different. He was backwards, but you appreciated his idiosyncrasies because that's made him, that's what helped make him the kind of player he was.
Different, but not bad. Okay, so what was Phil's mindset after that '98 title and the end of the Bulls' run?
You know, you want to keep it going, but there was turmoil. Jerry Krause, I think, got a little too much of a swelled head. I think he wanted to take too much credit for it, and the whole thing fell apart prematurely, I think. I think they could have gone on for another year, another 2 years. But that's what happens in the NBA. 3 years is like a lifetime. It's like a... you know, things sometimes you just have to change, and for whatever reason, didn't end very happily, but all good things come to an end. Double championship lifetimes for Phil Jackson in the city of Chicago. Hey, folks, after Jackson's success in the Windy City, his next challenge was getting a talented but troubled Lakers team to reach its potential. We'll talk about Phil, Shaq, and Kobe coming up next.
He's absolutely masterful at blending talents together, and you know, some people may not understand his methods, but if you've played for him, you know, you understand him completely, and you know what he's about. I mean, he's just absolutely brilliant at bringing a collection of a group together to accomplish one common goal. Welcome back to our Hall of Fame tribute to Phil Jackson. After unlocking the potential of the game's greatest player in Chicago, it was on to Los Angeles, where Jackson faced twice the challenge, getting Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant to buy into his system. Now, Charlie, during Jackson's Chicago days, he was often criticized for riding on the success of two great players in Pippen and Jordan and not getting much credit for the coaching. Now he goes to L.A., where once again it's two great players. How did he deal with that criticism? I don't think he's worried about the criticism too much. People don't remember that both Michael and Shaq had been in the NBA for 6 years before Phil took over the reins of their respective ball clubs without winning. L.A. was a different story because, unlike Michael, Shaq bought into the system immediately. And now you have a big guy in the middle, like Cartwright or Longley, but who's a threat to score. So the whole attack mode of the triangle is a little different because now it's spacing becomes more important. Now you have guys cutting because the defense is stretched out of shape. Now Kobe, his problem was that he was young, but he was also super competitive, and that was another thing that linked him to Phil. They both were competitive, but Kobe had even less of a clue as to how to win. How to tame that competitive nature than Michael did. Michael at least had been to North Carolina for a couple of years, so he understood hierarchy, he understood the principles of the team game, and having a coach that you respect. Kobe didn't have any of that, so Kobe was really like a rookie. So he had to learn all over again. Real quick, he had been out of the NBA for a year. Any reservations in jumping back into the pressure of coaching? Yeah, he told me he'd never do it again. Just like before. He said I would never do that again, and I happened to be at his house, and we were watching the playoffs on TV. That changed it. The regular season, you know, but playoffs is where a coach is really challenged, and I think that's what he missed. All right, let's get to the L.A. story. You see, after winning 5 championships during the Showtime era, the Lakers endured a decade of disappointment during the 1990s. Expectations were high for Jackson to work his magic and bring the NBA championship back to L.A.
From the moment Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant joined the Lakers in 1996, expectations were sky high. With these two talented individual players, it seemed that a championship was theirs for the taking. But for the past 3 seasons, the only thing they shared was disappointment at playoff time.
And once again, the LA Lakers continue to shoot themselves in the foot. The San Antonio Spurs take their claim, sweep LA aside, and move on to the Western Final.
If the Lakers are ever going to reach their potential, Kobe and Shaq you've got to get some sense of that they need each other all the time.
Meanwhile, Phil Jackson helped the Chicago Bulls win 6 titles in 8 years. Their success was built on the triangle offense and a triangle of personalities: Jackson, Michael Jordan, and Scottie Pippen. Now Phil has joined Shaq and Kobe to form a similar triangle in L.A. and hopes to bring similar results.
Shaq has a certain sense of pushing people away, and a lot of criticism has come to Shaq for his deadpan, kind of offbeat attitude. And for Kobe, the myriad of poor shots that he took, the unsettling decisions, all bewildered me.
Been a little unhappiness in La La Land lately about Kobe Bryant.
When there was a focus of whose team is it, Kobe's or Shaq's, the personality of the team never got out. It was like, it was dicey all the time between, what this team was going to be.
To unify his 2 stars, Jackson used his distinctive philosophical approach.
The first time you just kind of cut the lights out. You just had to sit in there for like a half hour or so, just meditating. But it wasn't as awkward as I thought it was going to be. I thought you'd have like candles lit and, make us meditate till we start floating or something like that, but that wasn't the case. One of the first things Phil said when he came here is, it's not how hard you play, because you can play with all the heart you want. It's how smart you play.
You know I want you to use pass and cuts. Kobe, I didn't like that you took that shot. We need to get that pitch post vital right now.
There was no one that I wasn't going to at least challenge. And as a coach, you have to do it, because if you don't do it, nobody else will.
These are disciplinarians, and I'm used to having disciplinarians in my life. That's what I'm used to. That's probably what I need. He has a system. If you want to survive in his system, you listen to the general.
Now you're starting to get some momentum. Don't let it slide. Let's go.
He learned how to yell at Kobe without yelling. That's definitely Zen. He yelled at talking to Shaquille without talking to Shaquille directly. He understands how to deal with different people different ways. And it was the same thing when it was Michael, Scottie, and Phil.
And the Lakers have carried out Phil's theories to perfection.
What a pass by Shaq to Kobe. There's a little showtime from the Lakers.
With Shaq and Kobe having their best seasons, the team has gone on several extended winning streaks and steamrolled their opponents all season long.
This is team basketball at its best.
I think the best thing, and what people are saying and the media is saying perhaps, they're seeing a kind of a joie de vivre between Shaq and Kobe, because they hook up together in some really great stuff. And that, I think, is very special.
Those two have complimented each other as well as any 2 Laker players in history.
Our team that we have this year is completely different from teams that we had in years past. Shaq and I understand one another. Shaq and Phil, myself and Phil, we understand one another, and everything else just kind of fell right in line.
Well, some combo, huh?
If the Lakers' new triangle is truly the shape of things to come, the ultimate proof, as always, will come in the playoffs. But there's no doubt that they believe in their system, and also they believe in themselves.
Well, everybody in L.A., everywhere you go in L.A., everybody's like, I was a Laker fan for a long time in the Showtime era, man. I want to see some rings. You guys got to win. So the pressure's definitely on from the city, but just keep telling them, we're going to get there. Phil's going to be able to calm us down in certain situations and guide us through certain situations. And I think the sky's the limit for this team.
All right, we thank Maverick for helping us out there. Take a look at the L.A. numbers for Mr. Jackson. 3 NBA titles in the City of Angels. And how about that 15-1 playoff record in 2001? Just unbelievable stuff going on there. Well, among the many things, Charlie, to think about for those early Los Angeles years for Phil Jackson, how did he get Kobe Bryant? Or maybe the better question is, what were his strategies in dealing with Kobe Bryant?
It was to show him that this is how we win. Kobe was very stubborn, and he had to convince Kobe every year. The 3 years they won the championship, Kobe came into training camp resistant. Shaq was hurt 1 year, so Kobe had to kind of do everything. So Phil had to kind of invent the wheel 3 years, reinvent the wheel 3 years in a row. But finally, as the season progressed, as each season progressed, Kobe got the idea, and he decided, yes, okay, he's going to have to sacrifice. And I think Shaq had a lot to do with it, because Shaq put it out in the media that this was Kobe's team. And Kobe was the greatest player in the league, which helped satisfy Kobe's egomania, and it was easy for Shaq to do that because really he was the center of the offense. Everything worked off of him, and he got a chance to show that he could score, he could pass, he could make decisions. So that's why one reason why Shaq bought into it really quickly. But it took some doing. But Shaq had Phil's back.